Hello again. Welcome back to my videos on the 5 tips for effectively using Google Docs. In the last video, in part 1, I went through some basics for tables and really tried to emphasize why I felt tables were essential for creating electronic worksheets that you would push out to students over the through Classroom. But I really also felt I wanted to emphasize that tables are not just useful for that purpose. And so I wanted to go back for a second and show you my the worksheet I started with in the last video, where I talked about how I created this specifically to print out and make copies. Okay, so it is a Google Doc. It never was a Microsoft Word document. I created it on Google Docs with the purpose of printing it and making copies, and I demonstrated how, this is fine. The way this is formatted is absolutely fine because the students are going to write their answers. But that also doesn't mean I didn't include tables in it, and I wanted to show you some ways that I found tables were useful. Starting with the very last question, actually, this is your basic T-chart. In Google Docs, the easiest way to create a basic T-chart is using a table. Okay, so this is a four cell table, two rows and 2 columns. I put, this time I didn't color these, or change the background color. You could; it would print out just fine if you did, especially on the lighter grays, or if you're printing in black and white, it's pretty much you might as well just use grays. I didn't do it this time, although you absolutely can. But what I did do to create this, again, because students are going to be writing and their handwriting might be bigger, I wanted to I didn't want to box them in too much. One of the things I did was take out, or not take out, but change the color of the borders. Okay, so the border lines. This is this is a table. It's still there. All I did for these particular sections is I did that. And if you are wondering how I selected those all at once, I selected the first one. It's kind of hard. You have to kind of move your mouse, especially when they're already white. You kind of have to move your mouse to find that particular, I don't know what that is, whatever that icon thing is. You kind of have to do it. But anyway, to select more than one, I press Control before I click on the others. And so that gives me a chance to select all 4 of them at once. And you can go up, and when that happens, obviously your toolbar is limited, but you can change the border color. And so if I wanted to change it back to black, you can do that. But like I said, because students were writing, and I know their handwriting is bigger, and I wanted to give them the margins to write in, there's no reason why they couldn't, I changed it to white. And that way it blends in with the paper, and you can't see it, but it does still leave the box around globalization, positives and negatives, and the line in between to separate them. Similarly, up here, I did the same thing. This is not necessarily a T-chart, right? This is just 2 questions. When it came to formatting, I really was concerned with keeping this document onto 2 full pages so that it would be front and back 1 page. And so to save room, I put questions 5 and 6 next to each other. And so all I did for this was create, again, another table. This time there's only 1 row. That's all it is. It's just 1 row, but there's 2 columns. And so what that did then was give me space for question 5 and question 6. And once again, I changed the color. I changed the color of the outside borders of the doc so that, again, students weren't boxed in to the box itself. I felt that would look a little clunky. And so I wanted them to have the ability to write into the margins and have that a little extra space. But to separate the questions, I left the one in the middle black so that they could at least, so there was a clear separation. So I kind of wanted to show this to you because I really wanted to, again, emphasize that I might be saying electronic worksheet, but tables are so useful when it comes to just formatting. One of the drawbacks, especially again if you're a devoted Microsoft Word user, one of the drawbacks of going to Google Docs is that there's a lot less freedom in terms of in terms of your formatting, and that is true. There's not a lot we can do about that, but I think using tables definitely helps get around some of the roadblocks, and it allows you to do more of the customization that you might be used to in Microsoft Word. Okay, so that is all I have for you this time.